welcome to another brand new episode here on Sunnyside of Farms. How are you all doing? Hope you're all having a good day. Alright. Need to lean forwards here so I can see, yes, you're unloading. Good. Don't know whether it was the right one or not. It was the right one, yes. But yeah, so as you can see, we're still busy with the harvest. We're in the field that we left the last episode. I thought we'd start from there. And then we've just got the one behind us then to do. And then that will be harvest done. And then baling, I'll probably do that off camera just because that is a bit... that's not a terribly exciting job. I'll tell you why it's not a terribly exciting job. It's because I'm not a fan of baling, I've got to be honest. I wasn't a fan of baling in real life. Not that I ever baled, but I did sometimes used to drive the bale chaser. So in the summer, as I've said like many times before, I was a bit of a floater driver in the summer because there wasn't enough ploughing for me to get on with. Obviously we weren't really drilling at that point, and so, you know, as I say, unless vegland was, you know, coming clear, then yeah, for a few weeks of the summer, probably a month or so of the summer, and also as well sometimes as well, you have to take into account that the ground would be too hard to plough, you know, and I'd end up damaging points and you know, sort of things like that. So that was another sort of thing you had to take into account in the summer months was, you know, is it suitable for ploughing? And you know, there were several summers that I was there when, you know, for sort of July to August, you know, it was just too hard. You know, the plough, you know, as I say, you can cause a lot of damage and do a lot of things to the plough, you know, if you go when it's too hard, and so I would sort of float around a little bit in the summer. So some days I'd be on the third combine, some days I'd be on tractor and trailer, you know, another day I might be, like I say, you know, with the baling team. But there was two jobs I never did. I never did the baling and never did the bale stacking, because anyone that's seen me trying to stack bales on farming sim, I'm even worse at it in real life. It's just, you know, it's just that whole kind of, I don't know, I just never was very good at it. But I used to sometimes drive the bale chasers, and so I would, you know, go chasing the balers and you know, collect my I can't remember if it was 8 or 10. I can't remember now. I think it was 8. And then you would take them to the end of the field and then just, or wherever they were wanting the bales, and then just stack them up. Yeah, so that was about as close to baling as I got. The same as well in the sort of spring and the sort of summer / autumn. Again, if I was just waiting around for land, or if, you know, if I was waiting for something, and they were you know, cutting some grass for silage or hay or whatever, then, you know, again I would go out with the bale chaser and the round bale chaser this time, and then just collect the bales up. I wasn't overly brilliant at that job either. But the problem with me is, if I'm not interested, I'm just not interested, and it's a terrible thing to it's a terrible way to be when you work on a big farm, because, you know, the bosses weren't, you know, terribly interested whether you was interested or not. They wanted you to do the work, but stacking, as hard as I tried, I just couldn't do it. I just wasn't, you know, I just couldn't get them square. I couldn't get them pushed up properly so they wouldn't fall over. And, you know, I remember one stack that I did stack, probably, I would imagine probably in the first year that I was there. Literally, we got a little bit of a breeze and they all fell down. And yeah, and it was kind of agreed from everyone on the farm that from that moment forth, Mr. Jimmy D would be doing no stacking. Dear, never mind. Anyway, so if you're wondering where Mr. Jimmy D comes from, the name Mr. Jimmy D, it's a farm sim life for me, is when I was at work with the lads. They used to call me Mr. Jimmy D, and don't really know what, you know, other than it's my name, but sort of, you know, everyone else they just refer to as Gary or Shane or, you know, whatever. But for me, it was always Mr. Jimmy D, and one of the lads there, I think it was David, I think it might have been Steve, just suddenly sort of started saying it's a farm life for me. I think it was they'd been, when I sort of was quite new there, they'd been chatting to me, and sort of said, you know, well, you know, what else have you done in life, or is this all you've done, or whatever? And I said, no, I've worked in, you know, Bird and Matthews turkey factory, and I've worked in supermarkets, and I'd worked, you know, I said, because at first I just couldn't get the experience that, you know, I needed to get on a farm. You know, no farmer would give me experience, and no farmer would take me on because I didn't have the experience. You know, and it's the same today. You know, it's the same today. It's, you know, and it's only certain people. The farm that I work for, you know, if there was to be, you know, a couple of you know, retirements, or if a couple of people left in a year, which wasn't very often, you know, they would probably take on a tractor driver with no experience, but they'd also take on a tractor driver with experience, and you would work the no experienced tractor driver with the experienced tractor driver because they were both new, so they could both settle in together, and then what, you know, and then sort of thereafter, when the inexperienced one was sort of, you know, more settled to go by themselves, then you know, that's what the farm used to do. It used to be a way that you know, it used to work for them. I mean, I went there, as I say, as an experienced truck driver, because I was already working on a farm and sort of doing most jobs on that farm, and I had a young lad that was an inexperienced tractor driver that started with me, and wow, some people are just not cut out for farming. But yeah, I say, when they asked, when they you know, were sort of asking, you know, what I used to do, and I was telling them, I'm pretty certain I must have come out with the line, it's a farm life for me, or something like that, you know, after doing all what I'd done, because I think they said, you know, well, which did you enjoy the most, and I think I probably came out with a line something similar to, well, it's definitely a farm life for me. And as I say, and then from there I sort of got called, you know, Mr. Jimmy D. It's a farm life for me, and a few of us used to get together as well, and we'd play multiplayer on Farm Sim, and I remember we played Cobra Farm. I don't know if you guys can remember that map, for 17, I think that was. I think it was 15 as well. And then the Bulliagore region map, we used to play that as well. That then in 2017 got changed to Germantown, and then didn't make it to 19 or 22, unfortunately. Well, it did actually. It did. I'm wrong. It became the Ozek map, Ozek, something like that map. So it is on 19, and it is on 22, and actually on 22 it's just had a major update, that map has. I think it's spelled OSIEK, but yeah, it's just had a major update, massive update. It's made the file of the map really big now, too big for me to download, but I really like that map. The people that have sort of adopted it now, for the last sort of 2 farm sims, 19 and 22, they have spoiled the feel of that map, unfortunately. You know, there was a certain when it came out in 15 and then was redeveloped in 17 by I forget the lad's name, but was one of the sort of main testers on the map in 17. A job that I got by pure chance. so I happened. He had a YouTube channel, and he was sort of, and I'd sort of commented, oh, I love that map, and I spent, all these hours on it and everything, And he got in touch and just said, like, do you want to become a tester? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. So it's 2017. I didn't really play that much of, in terms of like actually just playing the game like I do now. I spent pretty much most of 2017 testing that one map, and it came out probably in the final year of FS17, so I don't think it got appreciated by nowhere near the amount of people that maybe it should have done. But yeah, it is a shame really, because as I say, it was a really good map. But yeah, as I say, it's just a shame it didn't quite get the uses or the use that it should have done, because as I say, it was a really good map. I've messed up again here, haven't I? Oh no, he's gone around him. That's good. Got lucky with that twice now. We can leave him there. But yeah, as I say, when I started on the second farm, as I say, I was given a young lad. I forget the young lad's name now, and basically day one, the two of us was there, and I thought. So when I went, I was told that I would be permanent, and I was also told that there might well be a couple of like summer staff come in to drive, tractors and trailers and stuff like that. And this young lad started saying "Dad's me," and I assumed that he was, sort of summer staff. Never asked. No one ever said. It wasn't nothing to do with me, sort of thing. Like, but anyway, I was sort of started with him, and I started in August, September, I think I started, and the first thing that got told to me was, "Can you teach the young lad? Let's call him Terry, just for argument's sake. Can you teach Terry how to drive a tractor and trailer and go so that he can do some take karting?" Right, okay, yeah, fair enough. So he gets on the tractor, and he always got one of the real old tractors when you were teaching someone, because grinding gears and this, that, and everything else was a big thing for sort of newbies. And so we was on the old 7810, which is a lovely tractor, absolutely fantastic tractor. And we went off and we started him taking karting. Anyway, I think I probably did that about 2 or 3 days with him, and then the farm manager came down and he said, "Look," he said, "I think you need to now do it yourself," sort of thing. Like, he said, because otherwise what happens is you'll become reliant on James to get you out of every single hole, and you won't, and then you won't, be thinking for yourself. He said, and plus as well, I need James to go off and do something else. So I was like, okay. So he said, he'd do some drilling for us. So I said, yeah, no problem. So he said, I basically want you to drill some, we had some OSR to drill, and some winter barley. He said, if you can do the OSR first, he said, that lot would be fantastic. He said, and then, go on to the winter barley, and no problem. So anyway, goes on to drilling, and was told that once I got usually about 200-300 acres of crop drilled, to then go back to the farm, get on the tractor with the rolls, and then go and roll it all, and then come back and then get on my Challenger, because obviously the workforce was spread quite thin because they were off elsewhere harvesting and stuff, so I was like, yeah, no problem. Anyway, I think I'd been going probably about a day and a half, and I got there that morning, and if you knew what you was doing and you knew where you was going, you didn't need to go into the I call it a canteen, but it was a meeting room in the morning where everyone would, where the boss would tell you, everyone where they're going. But if you knew where you were going, you knew what you were doing, then you didn't need to go in there. You could just go straight to your tractor and get on. You didn't need to, be in there. It was only if you sort of got all your tasks done and sort of didn't know, what you was going to be doing next, that you would go in there, because, as I say, you'd get your job list, or sometimes it'd be up on the board. So you could just literally go into the entrance, and there'll be a big whiteboard just inside the door on the wall, and you might see James, and then you might see cultivating or ploughing, and then it will just list the field numbers or the field names, because sometimes they use numbers and sometimes they use names. Oh dear. And yeah, so excuse me. So you go and see that. Anyway, got there that particular day. Didn't go into the sort of dining room or whatever, where we would sort of the meeting room. Didn't go in there, just decide, knew where I was going, knew what I was doing, just, go to my Challenger, get on, get it refueled, check the oils, check the drill, re-grease when, where applicable, make sure that the hopper was full, because the hopper on the Verdstat that we had was 3.5 tons. I mean, I could fill it in the morning. I didn't really have to go back then, and especially if it was doing all seed rape. If you could fill that tank up virtually full, depending on how much rape they had, you probably wouldn't need to fill up again. Or you maybe only have to fill up one more time or whatever. And so it was like sort of fantastic. So I just got to work. Right, that's what I'm doing. That's where I'm going. As I say, got to my Challenger, did all the necessaries, and was just getting on my Challenger, and as I say, the farm manager came running across the yard, and he was like, no, in there today. So I said, I know what I'm doing. He said, yeah. He said, you don't know what you're doing actually. He said, you are still drilling. So I said, right. He said, but I need you in there. He said, because I need to talk to you. So I said, okay. And what worried me was that everybody else had now left the meeting room and was off going, in the direction that, they were going in, sort of thing. Like, I need to talk to you. And I was like, oh God, what have I done? And because anyone that listens to the channel, and I mean anyone that is new to the channel and hasn't heard the stories, if you leave a comment in the comment section, I can retell the stories if you really want me to. But I've ploughed the wrong fields. I've, got hideously lost on my tractor. I've just done like loads of crazy stuff. And I thought I drilled the wrong field or something, and I thought, sure I haven't. I thought, fairly certain that they were the fields that he took me to, because the first sort of time I did any drilling, they took me to the fields, and then I just memorised the way we would go, you see, to get to them. So it was no problem, you see, because I'd think, right, so it really easy, right, I've got to get my tractor to Wisbech, right, well that's easy, driven to Wisbech a billion times, sort of with my parents growing up, myself, as a driver, and what have you. So I thought, I don't need to memorise any of that. When we get in Wisbech, we then need to get to the police station, so don't need to memorise any of that, because I know how to get to the police station. So it would only be then when you would get like sort of, wherever it was out of Wisbech where you were sort of going, and then you sort of think, right, so I've got to get to here, that's no problem. And from here, then you would sort of then start taking note of directions and start taking note of, like where you were due to be anyway. So I goes into the meeting room and he sits down and he says, like, how you getting on? So I said, I think I'm getting on okay. I said, I'm a bit nervous now. He said, oh no, don't be nervous, you ain't done nothing wrong. So I said, thank God for that. I said, I thought I was getting on all right. He said, yeah, we are. He said, we've been out and checked it. He said, he said, Shane, who's the main drillman on the farm, but he was also a combine driver. He said, he's been out and had a look. And he said, cracking job. He said, we're very happy. He said, please don't worry. So I was like, well, the thing is, I will make it back, but I won't make it back the other way, and the auger's going to be in the crop, so I'm going to have to go this way this time. And I suppose I could have just emptied it when I got to that end, I suppose, but there didn't seem much point in that. Yeah, so yeah, he said everything's fine, so I said okay. So he said, right, he said we've had a little bit of a disaster. So I said, right. He said not you. So I said okay. So he said Terry. So I said yeah. He said he said he's emptied half a trailer of potatoes onto the farm, onto the floor in the farm where we're tipping. So I said right. So he said obviously can't have that. So I said well no. I said look yeah I get that. So he said he's coming rolling with you. So he said like, and then that way you can just crack on, and he's rolling. He said brilliant. He said like, but he said obviously he needs to catch you up. So I said yep. So he said if you can get him caught up with you. So I said right. He said and then from there he can just follow you around. So I said yeah right, fair enough. So anyway, we get on a tractor and it rolls, and we go up to the the field, and we sort of catching up. But luckily I'd been rolling the previous day, and I'd only drilled a couple of fields, so it wasn't much of a catch up. So I thought that's alright, I'll still be drilling by sort of mid-morning, lunchtime sort of thing. So anyway, we're sort of getting caught up. So I said to him, I said, what did you do? He said, I didn't like that job. So he said, I thought if I sabotage it, I'd probably get taken off. And I said, well, that was a bit silly. I said, because you could have got sacked. I said, like, I said, the thing is, I said, I do jobs on the farm that I don't particularly like. I said, but you have to do them. It's part of working on a farm. I said, like, it's part of, growing up and taking responsibility and, doing the right thing at the right time sort of thing. I said, like, because he was only a young lad. He weren't long out of school. It's probably, well, I think he was in college actually. And obviously because it was summer holidays from college, he'd sort of come on the farm with us, like, to gain some experience and that. So I said, the thing is with farming, I said, there's going to be a lot of jobs that you love. I said, and you just don't ever want it to end. I said, i.e. for me, drilling, ploughing, that sort of stuff. I said, but there are times on the farm when you need to fill in somewhere else. You need to do something else. I said, so, you can't have it all your own way all of the time. Sometimes you've got to do something else. I said, so yes, you need to think about it. I said, because if you're hoping to get a job on a farm, I said, like, when you leave college or whatever, I said, like, you ain't going to get one, because people are going to say, well, when they write a reference for you, they're going to say, well, yeah, actually, when he's doing something he enjoys doing, can't fault the lad. The problem is when he doesn't, he sabotages everything, and he just creates more work and more problems elsewhere on the farm. And I said, like, farmers ain't got time, mate. I said, the windows for us to get stuff done, I said, is very small. I said, and they're getting smaller with climate change and everything else. Those windows are getting smaller. I said, hence the reason why the machinery's getting bigger. I said, because we've got more to do in less time. I said, and I said, so therefore, I said, you need to sort of book your ideas up a bit. It ain't all about what you like. It ain't all about you. I said, like, it's about everyone else. We're a team. And he goes, crikey, he said, they've soon got to you, ain't they? He said, like, you're talking like one of the corporates now. So I said, no, that's not just this farm. I said, that's every farm. Not just this one. I said, that's any farm you go on. I said, like, you need to book up sort of thing, like, I said, it's not good enough, I said, like, you got to take a bit of responsibility. Anyway, we had that sort of little bit of chat, and then we gets him caught up, and I said, right, what you're going to have to do is sit and wait on the end of the field. I said, Adrian has filled up the cab with magazines. I said, so just sit and read your magazine. I said, like, I said, and he said, yeah, but he said, they're bloody farming magazines, I don't want to read them. I said, well, all right, then just sit and listen to the radio. I said, play on your phone. I said, do whatever. I said, but you're going to have to sit and wait. I said, because, I said, you're going to catch me up within a few breeds. I said, because I ain't done, I ain't done anything in this field yet. I said, so, like, I don't want you at my backside. Like I said, I want you at least half a field behind me. I said, because you'll soon catch me up. Anyway, we sort of sat there. Well, I just think I'd barely gone, I don't know, 200-300 yards. I hadn't done hardly anything. I think the seeds was just starting to reach the coulters, you know. And he's moving and he's following me, like he's like following directly like to the left-hand side of me, and not even where I was drilling, but on the bit that I hadn't drilled, he was rolling. And because I use my markers, and you know, I'm kind of like, well, yeah, rubbing me mark out, mate. And because on the front of the rolls, we used to have paddles that just used to sort of, you know, level it and sort of firm it, you know, as they were going. They were Diablo rolls, and they would level and firm. We also had for our sort of finer soils, we also had a set of Verdstat Rex's rolls, you know, so they were like little discs. They were much kinder to finer soils, and yeah, so I got out and I said, look, just sit on the end of the field. I said, like, just do as you're told for once. And he was like, is it boring? He said, let me ride with you. Let me have a go at that. I said, no, you're not having a go at that. I said, no, you're not riding with me. I said, I don't really like riding with people. I said, I've got to be honest. I said, you know, I said, it's my tractor. I said, I like to keep it clean. I said, you've only been in here, I said, on your own for 20 minutes. I said, look at the state of it. I said, why you got the doors wide open anyway? He said, well, because he said, I like the fresh air. So I said, yeah, but you're getting all the dust in. So he said, what? It just don't matter, does it? It's a bloody tractor. It's what it's designed for. So anyway, I could literally go on for another hour of stuff that he did, you know, and in the end, Adrian come to me probably a day or two later, and he said to me, he said, right, he said, Terry hasn't turned up. So I said, all right. He said, no, he said, not very happy. So I said, well, Terry went home at 2:30 yesterday. So he said, what? I said, yeah. I said, he went home at 2:30 yesterday. I said, we was having dinner, and he said to me, he goes, I fancy half a day today. He said, I think I might go home about 2:02. So I laughed, thinking he was mucking about. I said, no. I said, he left the field at, I said, yeah, about 2:02, something like that. I said, and I never see him no more. I said, and when I got back to the farm, 6, I went home from a tea at 5. I said, his car was gone. I said, he didn't come back. I said, I didn't see him. And I said, what I thought had happened was that you'd called him and said, oh, we got something else for you to do. You need to come back to the farm at this time. And then you've sort of told him to get in his car and go off to, like one of the other farms. And he said, no. He said, oh, I didn't know that. I said, yeah. I said, his words were, I can't be bothered. I'm going home early today. I said, and he did. I said, what's that thing? I said, he did. And he said, well, he ain't turned up so far. Anyway, I think it was about 11 that morning he turned up. And I didn't say much to him. I think at lunchtime, I said something like, where was you this morning? He's just like, oh, I fancy to lie in. And I was like, yeah, okay, mate. I said, yeah, fair enough. So the next day, and then he just started doing, sort of stuff like that. He was, going for early, he was leaving off early. Sometimes it would be 2, sometimes it was 3. He'd just go home. And anyway, Adrian came to me. It was a Monday morning. It was. We were supposed to have been. We was all working over the weekend because it talked to rain later that week, and so we were all flat out over the weekend, working sort of long hours to try and get everything done. Because when you've got sort of 8,000 acres of ground to cover, and then another sort of 3. Rented, so 11,000 acres essentially. When the rains come in, you need to be getting on, you need to be at work, you need to be going, and as I say, that you can't have someone that isn't committed, because it just doesn't work. Everyone needs to pull in the same direction. I was working late long hours, and everyone else was, and Adrian came in. He said, Terry's not coming this morning. So I said, no. He said, no. He said, I've got a young lady coming. So I said, all right. He said, and he said, like, if you could help her out. I said, yeah. He said much different. He said a much different kettle of fish, this one. He said, he said, I think you two get on. So I said, okay, fair enough. So anyway, and that's the day that young Kerry started, and she's still there, bless her, and she's still doing a fantastic job. Even if this last week she did get stuck and I had to go and rescue her. Well, I didn't have to, but she weren't far from my house, and she was like, I don't really want to ring the farm. Can you come and help me? But she was stuck solid, mate. I couldn't get it. I said, you ain't getting out of there. I said, you're going to have to ring them. I said, because they're going to have to bring, you know, a big tractor. I said, pull you out. I said, what big tractors have they got now? She said, quad tracks. They've got 2 quad tracks and 2 9RXs. I said, that'll do. I said, they'll get you out. I said, don't worry about that. But yeah, that was when she started, and a lovely girl. Has always been a lovely girl, very hard working girl, and you know, every farm needs one, you know, and especially that farm, because as I say, of how busy they are. But yeah, just sometimes people, you know, I mean, I remember saying to him, you know, well, why did you choose farming? You know, there's a lot easier things in life you could do. You know, a lot lazier things in life you could do. You know, why did you choose farming? And he said, because it's easy, innit? He said, you just sit on your backside all day driving tractors. I said, but that's only a really tiny part of it. I said, like, you know, that's not all of it, is it? I said, like, you know, that is not what this job is about. You know, I said, you know, for me, I said, the job is all about, you know, pride in your work, about, you know, doing a good job, about doing the, you know, the right job, and, you know, sort of all that. But he just wasn't interested. Anyway, if I've still got anyone watching and listening, thanks very much. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn over to a little bit of time lapse. We'll definitely be getting this field done in this episode, but I'm also very, very hopeful that we'll get the field behind us done as well, and then we'll be able to call it I say. And then when you come back the time after, like, so the next episode, I will have all the baling done and cleared, because it's painful watching me bale, and there is quite a lot, and as I say, that, you know, it's not a particularly glamorous job, and so I'll do them very, you know, just do them as quickly as I can, and get them over and finished, and then when we come back, we'll be into, hopefully our rate might be a good price, and we can get that sold. And also as well, you know, when the chickens will need feeding, you know, we'll need to start our all cultivations. So I'm possibly not going to plough as much this year. I might try and subsoil and disc a little bit more, and cultivate rather than plough. You know, it's not entirely necessary after wheat to keep ploughing it. I mean, you can do. There's no reason not to, but just sometimes, you know, if you give it a good subsoil and then a good cultivate, you know, good disking, you know, you'll have a perfectly fine seedbed, and you can crack on. There is going to be no OSR this year, so we are going to be all wheat this year. So all of these fields are going to be seconds, and the OS field that we had this year is going to be a first wheat. But yeah, all the other fields are going to be second wheats. So, you know, again, we don't necessarily need to plough. We can just cultivate over quite quickly, as long as we subsoil the tram lines, and then I mean, it could even be that we subsoil the tram lines and then run the same, do the whole field, do the tram lines first and then do the rest of the field, but run the same way as the combine is doing. And then when we come to disc, we can then go across the work, which will then help to, you know, just break the soil up a bit more, but also it will sort of drag the soil a different way to what we have been dragging it when we've ploughed and power-harrowed it, because we've been pulling it one way all the time. So it'd be good to just start going the opposite way, and then sort of dragging the soil back the other way. And that is a thing in real life, on real farms. That is very much a thing where you do go opposite ways in fields to keep the field even and to make sure that you're dragging the soil around, evenly, so that you're not dragging. Because what will happen is eventually, I mean, I've never seen it, but I've been told that what will happen eventually is you'll start to get, sort of a real heavy buildup of soil one side of the field, and you're starting to sort of lose topsoil at the other side. So we tended to sort of, one year we would, and it's the same with ploughing. So one year we would plough the headlands from out to in, and then the next year if we were then ploughing the field again. So if it became sugar beet one year, the first year we would plough from out to in, but the second year it might go like wheat and then carrots. So then you wouldn't necessarily plough the wheat stubble. Sometimes you would, to get a nice seedbed, but if you did, then you would plough from in to out, so that you then drag the soil back this way, or drag the soil back this way, or whichever way, but you would plough from out to in and then in to out, and just keep it going the same way. And then other times you might think, if you've been ploughing that way for a year or two, well, then you'd plough that way. You'd go across the field and you would do that. So that's something that we can also sort of bring into the save a little bit. We can start sort of altering the direction that we work the fields. We have to, there is a limitation to that, because I've never successfully got Courseplay to change direction. I've changed its direction, but it's never been quite successful as what Courseplay chooses automatically. So I tend to, if I'm using Courseplay, I tend to just leave it and let it get on with it. But yeah, so anyway, as I say, we're going to switch over to a little bit of time lapse, and then hopefully we'll get these two fields done. So I'll see you in a bit. Right, so I'm back. Now, I've had to end this just a little bit earlier than what I wanted to. I wanted to actually try and get this field finished. There isn't much more to go now, but unfortunately, I have just had low memory space on the computer warning message thingy pop up in the corner of the screen. Luckily, my screen capture doesn't actually record that, but yeah, it's come up again. So I'm and I've got that set so that when I get down to 5, so not 5 gig, when I get that down to 2 gig, then it alerts me, because that's enough time to do an outro. So unfortunately, I am going to have to just finish this field off camera. As I say, I wanted to get it all done today on camera, but yeah, not quite. But so I'll get this done, and then when you come back next time, the baling will be done as well, and then we'll look to be getting on with autumn cultivations, and hopefully we'll be able to sell our oilseed rape, and we'll probably have some eggs to sell as well, hopefully, if the price is good. But yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed the episode. Thanks ever so much for watching and taking the time to watch, because I realise that you know, we're all busy, and I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the little bit of chat just at the beginning there, and as I say, you all managed to get to the end. But yeah, thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll see you again. Bye for now.